going on, everybody? Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. I am Mistress Carrie, and it's Tuesday night at 8:30, and that means it's time for Cocktails in the War Room, and it's episode 138 of Cocktails in the War Room. So if tonight is your first time in the War Room, welcome. Make sure you let us know in the comments where you're watching from and that this is your first War Room so that the War Room family can welcome you properly. But if you're new, welcome. Thank you for hanging out with me. We do this each and every Tuesday night at 8:30. We've been doing it since March 14th of last year, and it's 138 episodes in. Now, sometimes she's a little shy. Tonight is not one of those nights. My co-host, my sidekick, Wednesday, come over here so everybody can see you. Sit down. Good girl. This is my co-host, Wednesday. Can I have your paw? No. Sit. Paw. Good girl. Other one. Sit down. Good girl. Sit. Back up so everybody can see you. Sit. High five. Yeah. Other one. Good girl. Here's your cookie. Good girl. I brought some cookies in. Last week, she didn't make an appearance on the show because she was being a pain in the ass. So this week I'm bribing her with cookies. Lisa's watching from Southbridge. Let's see. Episode 138, Bada Bing. Joe, we got to talk about the shirt coming up. What's up, Debbie, Veronica, Donna? What's going on, David? Chilling poolside. Nice, Bish. That's fantastic. Wednesday, do you want to have one more cookie before we're done? Sit down. Sit. Good girl. You guys have to see this toy that she's sitting on, this thing. It's an oyster, and there's a mermaid that you stuff in the hole. It's the loudest, most crinkly thing ever. Zero's dad, Wednesday's best pal, Zero's dad, bought that for her, and it's super crinkly. Okay, can you back up a little bit? Back up so we can show everybody your tricks again. Sit. Can I have a high five? Yes, you're so good. Okay, sit down nicely. There you go. Good girl. Do you want to say hi to everyone? Oh my goodness. Say hi, everybody. So this is Wednesday for anybody that is new to the War Room. Her Instagram is at Wednesday the Goth Pug. And she's my sidekick, my best pal, my confidant, the one that got me through the lockdown and the biggest pain in the ass in my house. Right, Wednesday? Right? And the dog you guys spoil more than anything in the world. Get it, you vicious dog. Get it. So how are you guys holding up with all the heat? Are you guys good? It's a little hot today, huh? Maybe just a little bit. The ducking oyster, Eric. Yes, I know. The ducking oyster. Actually, the stingray's back there, if you guys can see it. What do you got? You got a dinosaur? Huh? Can you guys hear her growling at the dinosaur? She's like, "Rrr." Sweating couch side, says Annette. I can't believe it's episode 138. Wow, congrats. I know, it's absolutely insane. I'm starting to think about episode 150 or episode 200 already. It seems like just yesterday we were at the boat celebrating the 100th episode. It doesn't even seem possible. It's totally crazy. Dana says it's gross. I know, it's like being in somebody's mouth. It's so terrible. Kick-ass AC at work, says Lisa. That's how they get you to come into work now, right? They know everybody's been so happy working from home, and they're like, but we have air conditioning. Give me that dinosaur, Wednesday. Give it to me. Sweating my titties off, says Heidi. Yeah, today is definitely in the 9s as far as the swoob level goes. That's how I tell the heat. It's an 8 on the SWAS meter. Mark, I got to disagree. I'm going 9.1 on the swoob meter. I mean, it was 96 degrees today. It's a little bit warm. The term moist comes to mind, says Mickey. I cooked stupidly. New York house in 85 degrees, but I cooked for the whole week. Well, there you go, Brianna. That was smart. But seriously, there's no reason to do anything in the kitchen today. That's why you got to have a cold cocktail, which is why we're all here. So cheers to you guys. Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. You drink faster when it's hot out too, which is not a good thing. All right. So here we are. episode 138 of Cocktails in the War Room. I want to thank my sponsor each and every week, Latini Creative Solutions at latinicreative.com. If you guys are starting a business, trying to rebrand your business, redo your website, your socials. Maybe you're starting a line of merchandise for your organization and you need some graphics and design help. Latini Creative has been instrumental over the last year and a half helping me with everything. What's going on, Keith? You can find him at latinicreative.com, by the way. Hey, Penny. We are cooler down here, says William. Down here where, William, exactly? Let's see. What's up, Christina, Carrie, Michelle, Lisa, Jeff, everybody checking in the comments. Thank you guys for joining me each and every Tuesday night. It's been a little crazy. I have all kinds of stuff to talk to you guys about. Music news, personal news, business news. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm so excited. All right. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is I'm getting a little surprise visit over the weekend. It's not really a surprise because I know about it now. But for everybody here in the War Room that knows, I got married at the end of last August, and my husband's in the military, so he's been gone pretty much since September. I've only gotten to see him a couple times, and I just got word that he's going to be traveling again, and I might just get to see him for the holiday weekend, which I'm really excited about. So, yay! So I'm very psyched about that. And now I'm really looking forward to the weekend. It also means I need to put all that laundry away before he gets here. Should probably do that at some point soon. Jason says, sorry, I haven't been here lately. I've been sick with a sinus infection for the last 4 days. Jason, whenever you can make it, you know we're going to be here. I'm buying another AC tomorrow too. Ain't cutting it, says Brianna. I know, exactly. Yeah, I hear you. When my air conditioning broke a couple weeks ago, I could not wait for my friend to get here to fix it. I was like, dude, please, can you just come fix the air conditioning? And now it's working fine, but it is really hot outside. And I got to tell you, Wednesday does not like the heat. So she's been going outside to do what she needs to do. And then she literally just lays in the grass in the shade and looks at me like, are you going to take me inside? Because the air conditioning is so much nicer. So she's definitely been spoiled. Thank you guys for all of the well wishes. I'm really excited that, I get to see the hubs at some point this weekend. So very excited about that. Okay. So I wanted to show you guys these. So as you guys are aware by now, you can hear me on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester every weekday from 3 to 7. And getting welcomed at the Pike has been amazing. Not only because it's just great to be able to get back on the air again, locally, but also because I'm reunited with a lot of people that I used to work at WAF with. Mike Shue, obviously, but Chuck Perks and also Bob Goodell, who worked with me at AAF for years. Chuck Perks does middays. So he's on between Mike Shue and I. The poor bastard got sandwiched in between the weirdos. And Chuck sent me an email and he was like, hey, Carrie, I dug out, like I've been digging through my archives and I found all of these old pictures of you and I thought you would want them. So I wanted to show you guys, if you have a Mistress Carrie backstage pass, you've already seen these pictures, but I wanted to show you guys some of these pictures that he dug out, which are hilarious. So this picture up here is me with some of the guys from Mudvayne. I don't know where, I'm pretty sure this was at the Songus. Because you can see the album cover like behind us on the wall. So I'm pretty sure this was at the Songus. Over here is LeJean Witherspoon from Seven Dust and I in the crowd at Loco Bazooka, I think, which is insane. This picture over here is me with Tommy Stewart, the former drummer of Godsmack from the first record, and Vinnie Paul. This, I believe, was at the Hillman Celebrity Golf Tournament. Which is just an amazing picture. This is the picture I need help from you guys. See this picture right here? None of us can figure out who it is. I thought it might be Smile Empty Soul, but I can't figure it out. So I thought I would bring it in the War Room to ask you guys to help me identify who this band is. Now, the picture was taken, judging by the background, it was in the Guest Street studio. So it was taken after the spring of 2000. But I'm not sure who it is. And it's driving me crazy because whenever I saved pictures, I always saved the title. Like I put the band in it. I have a really good memory for bands' pictures and their faces, and I'm usually really good, and I'm really pissed off at myself that I can't figure out who this is. So if you guys can help me figure that out, that would be amazing. But it's a band that we played in the early 2000s on WAF, and I can't figure it out. And I know when you guys figure it out for me, I'm going to be really pissed off that I didn't know. And I'm already apologizing to the guys in the band, but the picture's like 20 years old. So I'm just trying to figure out who it was. But thank you, Chuck Perks. He sent me a bunch more pictures, but I had already, the other ones that he sent me, I already had up on my Facebook page. But these are some of the ones that I did not have yet. So pretty excited to get some of these old pictures, which I thought was really cool. Let's see. Please drink a lot of water this weekend. Trust me, I will. The guy in the yellow kind of looks like Gavin from Bush. That is definitely not Bush. I can tell you that with all certainty. I have studied every line of Gavin Rossdale's face. It is not Rip Bush. It's not Steel Panther. I would recognize those guys anywhere. Don't apologize. No worries, says Jeff. Hi, Dave Downey. How are you? Nice of you to join us here in the War Room again. He's out on the left coast. Cheers to you, Mr. Downey. The smart ass. Nice to have you joining us. We got to catch up, by the way. Last time you popped into the War Room, you said we were going to get on the phone and you lied to me, you bastard. So we got to get on the phone. So if you guys can take a screenshot of this, try to help me figure out who this band is. Dave, you might know because you were on this ride with me with a bunch of these bands. So if you can help me figure it out. Met Vinnie Paul in Vegas. Vegas, always wanted to see Pantera live. Vinnie Paul was always good for hanging out, gambling at the Hard Rock and the casino. And I bumped into him a few times there myself. Living the dream, missing you. Owe you a call. Yeah, you do, Dave. So hurry up. Make the call. It's not Mudvayne. This picture is not Mudvayne. This one. Damn it. You guys know that this reversed camera thing pisses me off. This picture is Mudvayne. This picture down here is the one I don't know who the band is. Mudvayne, not Mudvayne. I would make a terrible weatherman, like Pete Bouchard, all those weather guys. They put the green screen up and everything's backward and they get the wand and they draw on the maps. I don't know how the fuck they do it because every week we come in the War Room and I look like an idiot in here trying to point at stuff that's in the opposite direction. You would think by now I would have figured it out, but I just can't. Let's see. Is that pistachio? It is not pistachio, but Ryan, you will laugh to know that Johnny from Pistachio and I still communicate very regularly. And we were just on the phone last week, actually. Pistachio was a big local band in the mid to late 90s in the New England area. And Johnny and I are still friends and we still talk all the time. So happy 4th to Debbie. Donna says, hope you have a happy and safe 4th. Thank you very much. It's not Soulfly, Brianna. It's definitely more of a mainstream artist. It's like Smile Empty Soul or something. It's a band like that. I don't think it's Hinder. It could be Smile Empty Soul. It's not Collective Soul, I don't believe. It's a band like that was more of a mainstream rock act. They definitely were not like a heavy, like a metal band, like a Mudvayne or a Slipknot. It was not like that. Let's see. Now we have a band with no name. I know. I apologize. So I just thought I would ask you guys to help me out with it. Otherwise, I wanted to give you guys first crack at it before I put it up on Instagram and Facebook because I would hate for the band to be like, that's us, Carrie. Like, what's your problem? How do you not recognize us? So, how would I screenshot it? Jeff wants to know. Jeff, however your computer screenshots, then you just take a screenshot or pause the video or whatever, and you can just take a screenshot on your computer or on your iPhone or whatever. You can take a screenshot that way. Dave says it's not Hinder for sure. All right. Well, Dave, you would know because that was your band. It's not Reveille. Nope. I would know that for sure, but it's definitely not them. It's driving me crazy because I haven't seen this picture in 20 years and it's driving me nuts. I'm friends with Johnny too. I used to bounce at Bleachers in Salem. Good guy. Oh, we need a pistachio for reunion for sure. Oh my God. Bleachers in Salem. God, we used to go to some awesome rock shows there. Which picture I'm late? George, this one. Under the Monkey, this picture. I can't identify the band. It's driving me crazy. I'm asking for your help. It is a mystery, Penny, but we'll figure it out. I know we will. All right. So I wanted to thank Chuck Perks. Everybody at the Pike has just been so cool. And just these little surprises popping up in my email are just really cool. So very excited about that. All right. We got to get to the podcast because we got music news and all kinds of stuff to talk about. It's a busy show. So let's recap episode 55 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, which features Taylor Momsen from The Pretty Reckless. This was last week's episode, sponsored by Digital Federal Credit Union at dcu.org and also Jumptown Skydiving at jumptown.com. I love Taylor Momsen. I think she is awesome. I think this record, Death by Rock and Roll, is the album that is going to be looked at in their career as changing the game for them. They were popular before, but I think Death by Rock and Roll is like the equivalent of Slippery When Wet for Bon Jovi. It's just taking them to a whole other level. And I really appreciated Taylor Momsen's candor, talking about the difficulties that she has had since the death of her producer in a motorcycle accident, which she talked about, the loss of the studio that they've recorded all their records at, obviously being on tour with Soundgarden and being in Detroit and having been with Chris Cornell just hours before he died. She went through a lot, even before the pandemic. And she has been incredibly gracious and open, just like Jacoby Shaddix was from Papa Roach. You guys will remember on the podcast, very open about struggles with sobriety and depression and mental health and needing to ask for help and to acknowledge and rely on people that you love and trust and rely on your band. And also the way that she found solace again in music, something that she had kind of lost in her life because of the depression and the substance abuse problems. And I just think that she should be commended for being so open and honest and talking about this journey, because especially over the last year and a half, these are things that everyone can relate to. They might not be able to relate to being really close with Chris Cornell and then the pain of losing him, but everyone has lost someone and processed loss and grief. And especially over the last year and a half, as we have talked about over the last 138 episodes of The War Room, processing depression, grief, loss, all of these things, relying on substances to get you through, being cut off from the people that you love. All of these things are common themes that we can all relate to. And she poured all of that into this record and is so open to talk about it in interviews. I'm not the first interview that she did that she talked about it, but that's what makes it even more amazing, is that she continues to talk about it over and over, even though it's hard, which is something that she did acknowledge on this podcast, that she understood pouring all this emotion into the songs, that she was then going to have to play the songs over and over. But she said in the interview what she didn't really think about in the short term that's turned into something in the long term is having to relive the tragedy in interviews over and over again, which made me feel kind of bad. And when I apologized, she was very quick to go, no. This is part of it. This is part of the journey. This is part of the process, is that I can't talk about this record without talking about the loss. And so if I'm going to talk about the record and agree to do interviews, it's all part of it. I do not believe that band is Taproot, Jason, but I appreciate it. It could be, but I don't think it is. Penny says, I am still grieving my nephew. We are all grieving somebody or something. You guys know, you've been here for me through the loss that I've suffered with my friend. And there's been a lot. There's been family losses. There have been friend losses. And her being so open and honest and talking about it. I love how open she is about talking about her love of Soundgarden. And still, even though she's friends with the band and has collaborated with Matt Cameron and Kim Thayil, that she still allows herself to still be just a fan of their music as well. And I love listening to her talk about that. William, it's not saliva. Definitely not saliva. Let's see. During the pandemic, I always tried to stay positive. Jeff, we all did, but it's hard sometimes when you suffer a loss or you have a bad day or you get laid off or you have money trouble or, you go through a breakup, whatever it is. And I just loved this episode of the podcast. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go back and listen to it. She did also talk a lot about why the band opted not to tour this year and why they're waiting until 2022 to go out on the road. And part of it was the Pretty Reckless hadn't been together playing shows since that Soundgarden tour. And so they went through the process of writing the record, but now they need a chance post-pandemic to hunker down together and to practice and to become a band again. And so I just loved her episode and just really excited for you to hear it. I'm glad the feedback's been amazing. I'm glad you guys loved it as much as I do. And so like I always ask you guys to do every week, if you have a Pretty Reckless fan that's a friend or somebody in the family, maybe somebody that doesn't join us in the War Room or might not know about the Mistress Carrie podcast, share the episode with them. Somebody you went to go see the band with or something, share it with them. And this is how the podcast grows. And I'm going to be shameless in asking you guys for help with all of that. That brings us to this week's episode, which I am also very excited about. Episode 56 of the Mistress Carrie podcast goes live at midnight tonight, and it features Rob Caggiano from Volbeat. I have known Rob since the mid-90s. He was in a band called Boiler Room in the early years that I was at AAF, and Rob and I became friends. Rob, back in, I believe it was 2000. Remember the original Godzilla soundtrack when Puffy sampled Led Zeppelin and people gave Jimmy Page a lot of shit because he played on the Puffy song? I think it was on the Grammys. Well, Puffy was playing a show for Z100 in New York City, which is the big pop station. It's kind of like Kiss 108 in Boston. And they always had a big show, and they had it at Giant Stadium. Sold out, and Puffy was going to play in front of 70-something thousand people. And he wanted to play that song, and he needed a rock band. And so Rob ended up playing guitar for Puffy that night. My friend Sean, who was in Raw at the time, ended up playing bass. And I ended up going to New York, and I was standing on the side of the stage, me and Busta Rhymes, who is a lot taller than you would think he would be. Usually rock stars and celebrities are a lot shorter than you expect them to be because they look so tall on TV and in the movies. Busta Rhymes is really tall. And I ended up standing there on the side of the stage in a sold out stadium watching my friends play on stage with Puff Daddy, with Busta Rhymes. It was really weird. And we talk about that in the episode a little bit. Then Rob joined Anthrax and was in Anthrax for a long time. And he's also a record producer, and he had started producing Volbeat records. And he then left Anthrax, and he's been in Volbeat for, I don't know, it's got to be 10 years now or something like that. This episode is really good. I will warn you guys, he did the interview outside, and I don't know where the fuck he lives, but there's a lot of birds there, and there are birds chirping in the background through the whole episode. I did everything I could in all the editing software that I have. There is no debirding thing in the software to be able to get the bird noises out of this episode. So when you're listening to episode 58, you are going to hear Rob fine, but if you listen, you're going to hear the fucking birds too, and it's hilarious. But Rob and I talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about AAF. We talked about Volbeat. Obviously, we talked about his time in lockdown. The stories from his dad are hilarious. He told me a story about his childhood, about his first guitar, because he, like a lot of the musicians you hear on the podcast, picked up the guitar at a very early age. And he told me that he had a rock and roll alias. I cannot tell you what it is. I'm just telling you, I've done this in the past. Next week, when you join me in the war room, we will discuss Rob's childhood rock star alter ego, because it is how I am going to refer to him for the rest of the time I know him, because the name is just too good. It's too good. So when you hear it in the episode, it's going to make you laugh, not only because it's funny, but because you're going to be like, oh, that's what she was talking about. So debirding. Yeah, Shannon, there's no way to debird the audio file. I tried everything. I put it through, every kind of effect, denoising. I tried everything. There's just fucking birds in the background. It's insane. And I could hear them the whole time. I just didn't realize they were as loud on the recording as they are. So you're just, it sounds like he's at the zoo in like the bird atrium or something. Aviary. Yeah, it's called an aviary, right? Whatever. Anyway, they're fucking loud. So Walter, shoot the damn birds. Walter, get the pipe for the birds. Oh my God. So I hope you guys love this episode. If you're a Volbeat fan, there's a lot of great stuff. And the other thing is, because Rob is a producer, I asked him some technical questions about terms you guys have heard of. If you're not a musician, you might not know what things are like mixing and mastering music. We started talking about vinyl. And he started I prodded him. I wanted him to get nerdy on me. But I asked him about recording albums that are going to be released as like a digital file versus the process of putting a song out that is going to end up pressed on vinyl. And the process is different. And he talked about that. So I think it's going to be really interesting for you guys. Brianna, it's not Limp Bizkit. Hold on. I'm going to go back to the pictures. Yeah, that's not West Borland. Can you guys look up Smile Empty Soul? For some reason, I feel like it's Smile Empty Soul. That's the only band that I can think of that it might be, but I could be wrong. But it's driving me absolutely crazy. But it's definitely not West Borland from Limp Bizkit. So anyway, I'm really excited for you guys to hear episode 56 of the Mistress Carrie podcast featuring Rob Caggiano from Volbeat. If you want to see Volbeat live, if you want to hear about the new music, we talked about all of that stuff too. And we talked about great Italian places to eat in the city of Boston, and kind of nerded out on that a little bit too. As you can tell, Caggiano, he knows a good meatball. So that drops at midnight. Now, when you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, just a reminder, you also get the situations report, the situation reports that come out Monday through Friday. They download in the middle of the night so that you get the headlines and everything you need to know, rock news, industry info, everything in less than 5 minutes. And it's there first thing in the morning for you. So while you're in the shower, brushing your teeth, whatever, they're little bite-sized pieces of all of the news that's happening. And I want to call your attention, because sometimes I forget to mention it here in the War Room, that every episode of the podcast, whether it be a sit rep or a full-length episode, go into the show notes. However you listen to podcasts, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, Pandora, whatever, there are links in there. So not only are there corresponding playlists, which, by the way, the playlist for this episode is fucking awesome, filled with Volbeat, Anthrax, a bunch of other stuff. But when it comes to the sit rep, the links that are in there go to the news stories themselves. So if you hear me talking about something that you're super interested in, you want to know more, you want to get the links to be able to find out where you can buy the stuff, or you missed the date, or if maybe I didn't give out enough information, go to the show notes of every sit rep, and all of the news stories are all linked right there. I want to thank the Maine Hair Lounge. If you want rockin' hair, you got to go see Linda at the Maine Hair Lounge, because she can make that happen. But the Maine Hair Lounge sponsors the Situation Report. These are all the places you can check out the Mistress Carrie podcast. They are where you can subscribe, and then you get every episode. So you get the full-length episodes on Wednesday, and you also get all the sit reps Monday through Friday as well. There are tons more than just all of the ones that are listed here, but these are the most popular ones from what I can tell. So there are tons of places to listen. Whatever podcast server, system, app, whatever you use, just search the Mistress Carrie podcast. As long as you see this icon right there, then you know it's real and enjoy. Okay, we're holding strong at 109 countries for the Mistress Carrie podcast. And this week, Canada is back up to number 2 as far as nations listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. So there's the United States, and then number 2 is Canada. But they're usually in a fight with Germany and Australia, which is kind of insane. So I want to say what's up to our neighbors from the north. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope you don't win the cup. There we go. All right, we got a lot of music stuff to talk about. So the first thing I have for the last week been giving out text code words that are worth Elton John tickets. Elton John's tour, the Farewell Yellow Brick Road final tour, is back out on the road next year. He's going to be making a stop at Gillette Stadium, but he's touring around the world as like his one last big final hurrah. And the tickets for the tour go on sale tomorrow. And if you have never seen Elton John, you're not going to get another chance. There's some artists like David Coverdale from Whitesnake said next year, that's his last tour. He's pushing 70 years old. He wants to go out while his voice is still able to hit the notes. And so there are going to be some artists that you're not going to get the chance to see again. So if you want to go see Elton John, the tickets go on sale tomorrow. Also, you will notice in the event calendar at mistresscarrie.com, there is a Ronnie James Dio. Sorry, I got a typo there. It's not Ronnie James Did. Oh, come on. Let me fix it. There we go. It's the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer fundraiser. It's happening virtually this year. The list of artists, everybody from Tony Iommi to Lizzie Hale to LaJawn Witherspoon, the list is long and impressive of artists that are taking part in this event this year, and it's coming up on July 10th. So all of the details, everything you need to know are up on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com, but I wanted to call your attention to it. This is how they're celebrating Ronnie James Dio's birthday this year. Okay, let's see. This is why I'm wearing my Bada Bing shirt. So you guys may or may not know that I am a diehard Sopranos fan. When the show was on, I used to have Sopranos parties on Sunday nights, and all of my friends would come over to my condo, and I would make a big Italian dinner, and everybody would bring wine and dessert, cannolis, tiramisu, and we used to watch The Sopranos every week and just gorge on food. And then all my single guy friends used to bring Tupperware. Most of the time it was the Tupperware that I gave them the week before, but they brought it back clean. And they literally ate the entire work week off of the leftovers from my Sopranos parties. I think I had 60 something people in my house watching the final episode of The Sopranos. After that last final episode aired, I was one of those people that questioned David Chase and was really mad at how The Sopranos ended. That's how I was back then. I've since changed my mind. I think now, in hindsight, having watched the series again and watched how it ended, I love the ending of The Sopranos now. And I know a lot of people still hate it. I love the fact that I personally think, spoiler alert, that Tony gets whacked in the diner. I'm glad I didn't have to watch it, but I think that's what happened. The way that it cut to black, if you're binge watching it now, I apologize. You've had plenty of time. I just love how it ended. And David Chase is directing this film. It's coming out on October 1st on HBO Max, and it's called The Many Saints of Newark. The trailer I posted on this Facebook page earlier today. It is about young Tony Soprano. The Tony Soprano when he was a teenager, growing up in the world that we heard about in hindsight and in flashback scenes on the actual Sopranos. What's crazy about this prequel is that James Gandolfini's son, Michael, is playing a young Tony Soprano. And it's crazy because A, he looks like his dad, and B, he sounds like him. And they use some of Tony Soprano's voice in the trailer. And Heidi, you know what? I couldn't agree with you more, Heidi. Heidi said I was in a deep depression when James died. I loved him as an actor. he did this series on HBO called Alive Day Stories. He was a huge supporter of the military and of veterans, and he hosted the show. I'm sure you can go back and find it on HBO or on demand or something, but it was called Alive Day Stories, and he interviewed wounded veterans about the day that they got injured, which a lot of people, you know, that have been injured and almost died, they call that day their Alive Day. And Tony Soprano, aka James Gandolfini, or other way around, hosted that show for HBO, and it was fantastic. And seeing him pay tribute to our veterans on a personal level, you know, people had talked about how difficult he was to work with, and he had a reputation as being a guy that lived life and spent a lot of money. And I think anytime anybody gets really, really successful and famous, that the rumor mill about how they're difficult or like, you know, whatever. But I loved the way that he supported veterans. I loved him as an actor. I was really sad when he passed away as well. And it made me bummed out because there was never going to be any kind of like follow-up Sopranos anything. That's what I thought. I never thought that they would do a prequel so that you can see Uncle June and all of like, and Tony's dad, the person you just heard about on the TV show. We're going to get to see the start of the family business in the prequel, and it comes out on October 1st. So go and watch the trailer. I'm super excited about it. I dug out my old Sopranos Bada Bing shirt for it. HBO Max streaming. Yeah, exactly. Young Polly Walnuts, Big Pussy, all those guys, but young. I can't wait for it. Just Ray Liotta is in it as well, Joe. Absolutely. I named my dog Gandolfini Hilton after him. He loved dogs. Yeah, see? So I'm really excited. It's got to be hard to be Michael Gandolfini. Obviously, he lost his dad. But if anybody is going to be able to play a young Tony Soprano, it's going to be Michael Gandolfini. And the costumes are crazy because it's like the 70s and 60s outfits are out of control. So really excited about that. Elsa wants to know how my garden is. The garden is going great. I'm really taking good care of it right now because it's been so fucking hot. I've definitely got tomatoes growing. My basil is finally growing. My lettuce is finally bouncing back after that cold snap we had over like Memorial Day weekend and stuff. So things are definitely starting to take off. A lot of my herbs are growing really, really well. I planted broccoli and cauliflower this year for the first time. Those seem like they're taking off. My green beans are flowering. I'm finally starting to get some traction with my cucumbers too. So the only thing that I'm picking right now out of my garden is my mulberries, and my raspberries are like growing like crazy. So I've been eating raspberries every day for breakfast because they're delicious. Okay. Thank you for asking about the garden, by the way. All right, here's some more music headlines for you. Nikki Sixx's book comes out on October 19th. That's called The First 21. Very excited about the Metallica Blacklist. It's 53 artists covering the 12 songs from the Metallica Black album, and all of the proceeds from all of the tracks are going to charity. Half the profits are being donated to the All Within My Hands Foundation with Metallica, and then each artist had a chance to take the other half of the proceeds from their song and donate it to an organization of their choice. And more of these songs are going to start coming out, but it's really cool. It's available for streaming on September 10th. And then I believe you can buy physical copies of it on October 1st. And then also coming out from Metallica, the Black Album in Black and White. This is a coffee table book by photographer Ross Halfin, who had unprecedented access to the band in this era of the Black Album. And so he worked with the band and they put this amazing book together, and that's coming out in October as well. Some pretty cool event news. I want to remind you guys that coming up on July 10th is the 100 FM The Pike official DJ welcome party. It's happening at Rascals in Worcester. You got to go on pikefm.com to get the link to buy tickets. But Chuck Perks, Mike Shue, and myself are all going to be there. There's going to be music. There's going to be prizes. I'm really looking forward to it. Mike Shue joined the staff of the Pike long before I did, but it was in the height of the pandemic and they weren't able to officially welcome him with any kind of party. So now they're having the party for the both of us, and I'm really excited about it. So I hope you guys are all going to be able to make it. Details, links, everything you need to know are on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. I'm also excited to let you guys know that I am going to be appearing at Rockin' Pod, which is a podcast convention centered around rock music happening in Nashville in early August. And I am really excited. I'm going down there. I'm going to be on a panel talking about women in rock. There are a bunch of interviews with people I'm going to be doing while I'm down there. I believe you heard it in the Blitzkrieg episode of the Mistress, Carrie podcast. Todd Whitener, who was in Days of the New and also in Tantric, he's in a new band called Blitzkrieg, and they are based out of Nashville. And I've been talking to him. So he and I are going to go out. He's going to show me around. And then Jay, the lead singer from Rubicon, also is in Nashville, and I'm going to see him as well. So I'm trying to reconnect with all of the bands that I know are in Nashville. So I'm going to be able to bring you guys some great interviews and some great photos and some awesome stories. And I'm really excited. So if you're going to be anywhere near Nashville, the Rockin' Pod convention is open to the public. So you're more than welcome to go to the convention center. But I'm super excited and honored. I've talked about it before in other podcast interviews that I've done. Coming from a radio background, radio is very territorial, and it's not something where you talk about other radio stations. Podcasting is a totally different community, I've learned, and other podcasters are more than willing to talk about your podcast, which in radio you would never do. But being welcomed the way that I have been in the podcast community has been a surprise for me. And having so many podcasts ask me to be on their podcast as a guest, these were just things. I mean, just imagine, radio stations, like AAF asking the DJs of BCN to go on the radio show. Or like you just never would have heard that kind of thing. But with podcasting, they don't look at it like competition. They just look at it like it's a community and everybody's trying to help each other. And so to be invited to be part of this convention, I'm really excited about it. And I'm really excited to be able to meet a lot of the other podcast hosts within the Pantheon Podcast Network too. So super excited. I'm going to be appearing at Rockin' Pod. That's coming up in early August in Nashville. And also mark your calendars for September 19th. The Boston Wounded Vet Run is taking off out of Boston Harley-Davidson. It's going to end at Anthony's of Malden, and I am going to be there as well. I'm going to have a tent there, so you'll be able to come and hang out. I'm really excited to be able to start doing these kinds of events, and not only to be able to meet people, but just to get involved in different charity endeavors and to be able to meet other podcast hosts. And I'm fairly certain that at the Boston Wounded Vet Run this year, some of the veterans that are in Andy Biggio's book, The Rifle, are going to be there as well. Andy Biggio was on the podcast, 5 weeks ago now, something like that, talking about his book, The Rifle. I'm about halfway through the book. I'm not just saying that because he is a friend of mine. I am loving every page of this book. It is super easy to read. Every chapter is about a different World War II veteran. So it's not like a book where if you put it down for a couple of weeks, you can't pick it back up because you forgot what happened. I read it chapter to chapter. So if I have the time, especially in the morning while I'm having my coffee, I'll sit down on the deck with Wednesday on my lap and I'll read just one chapter, which is one story about one World War II veteran. There's 22 veterans represented in the book, and it is fantastic. And like I said, I'm about halfway done, and I'm so proud of Andy. His book is great. The first printing sold out at Amazon, which is unbelievable. So the book is now back ordered on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble and at other booksellers, but it's being reprinted now because he sold so many copies, which is so awesome. And I'm hoping that Andy is going to be bringing some of the veterans that are represented in the book, The Rifle, to the Boston Wounded Vet Run. But I will definitely be there, and that's happening on September 19th. And the details on all of, I did it again, details on all of this stuff are on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Okay, let's talk about the mail call. I got one thing in the mail this week, and it's really sweet. And I just kind of wanted to show it to you. I gave Travis from Oscar Mike Radio a lot of crap because he sends out thank you cards. I send them out too, but I just think it's really sweet. And I got a thank you card from Josh Dolan. who used to work with me at WAF and who's the co-host of the Breaking the Ice podcast with Mike Shue and Isaiah, because Josh just had a baby. And so I sent him a little care package with books and clothes. And I sent little Mistress Carrie onesies and a whole package to their daughter. And it just says, thank you so much for your extremely thoughtful gift for Clara Lou is his daughter's name. She's so cute. Obviously takes after her mother, not after Josh. We're so happy to add to her growing library of books. I bought her Dr. Seuss books because I think every kid should grow up having Dr. Seuss books. And the clothes are so cute. Can't wait to see her in them. We really appreciate your generosity. So I just wanted to share it with you because even after everything that's happened, the people that were part of the WAF family are still part of the WAF family. And another one of our coworkers, Kaiser, is expecting a baby anytime now too. So the AAF family is growing generationally, which is so excited. So Auntie Carrie can't wait to meet the babies and whatever. So that's what came in the mail call today. Here's the address. If you need to get a hold of me, that's where you can find me. I want to remind you guys that there are new mugs in the Mistress Carrie online store at mistresscarrie.com. These are my new coffee mugs. So now there are white coffee mugs that have this circular logo on them. And these are the new black coffee mugs that have the devil horns logo, which I am absolutely in love with. So if you need a coffee mug, if you're looking for a gift for somebody, there's a ton of stuff that is available in the online store, and just check them out. I'm really psyched. I love how they came out. And now I have a black mug and a white mug, and we're going to be adding some more merch. I've gotten so much positive feedback about the devil horn logo that I'm definitely going to start making some more stuff with it. Is it on Audible? Heidi, I'm assuming you're talking about the rifle. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if the book has been recorded as an audiobook yet. My assumption would be not yet, but it's possible. And I hope that Andy recorded it himself, although I would totally volunteer my services to read these stories for the audiobook, but I don't know if it's available on an audiobook or not. You guys should follow the rifle on Instagram though. If you have an Instagram, follow me, but you got to follow the rifle because there are so many photographs. Now all of the veterans that have signed the rifle are starting to get copies of the book, and they're sending pictures. And these amazing American heroes, these sweet little old men now who were these virile young warriors, are sending all of these pictures and seeing the faces behind the stories that you're reading about in the book. It's just really cool. The new mugs are badass. Thank you very much. Got to get mine. Penny, they're there. Everything is in stock in the store. I don't have the doggy treat, the tees yet. I'm working on it. One of the things about dog clothes is that you have to find stuff. Dogs are all shaped different. And so I'm beta testing dog clothes. And it's weird because not all dogs are built like pugs. So I'm working on it. You need to do water bottles. I'm looking into that, Jen. Trust me. Tank tops, Donna, that is something that needs to happen, especially because it's like almost 1,000 degrees. I got to get with T-shirt Brian about that, but this week was his birthday, so I didn't want to bug him because I'm sure he's hungover by now. Happy birthday, Brian, by the way. It is on Audible. Sean Compton is the narrator. Oh, that's fantastic, Brianna. I didn't know that it was on there, so I'm glad. So if you can, if you're not a reader, but you want to check out the book on Audible, if you want to listen to it while you're in the car or whatever, while you're cleaning the house, doing laundry, the stories are small enough bite-sized pieces where you don't go, oh God, I don't have the time. You can read it in small sections or listen to it in small periods of time. But the stories are unbelievable. And I am loving every page of The Rifle. I love Andy's delivery. I love the backstory information about how he got hooked up with these veterans, how he met them, how he researched them, how some of the veterans didn't want to talk to him at all. The stories are great. And I think you guys, if you have not gotten the book yet, if you haven't read the book yet, I think you guys are going to fall in love with this book. And I am so proud of Andy for completing it. I know he's been working on it for years. And when you're friends with somebody, you want to be supportive. And of course, you're going to be like, congratulations. But I'm reading the book and it's amazing. And I'm not saying that because we're friends. I'm saying it because I am thoroughly enjoying it. So I hope you guys love it too. Wendy, the stickers are coming. The devil horn stickers are coming. Working on it. Let's see. Walter says, hope you all have a great night. Best place to be on a Tuesday night since the pandemic began. So cool. Walter, thank you for hanging out with us. If today is your birthday, Ian Pace from Deep Purple and Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls share your birthday today. So happy birthday. I thought this was crazy. On this date in 2007, the first iPhone was sold. I remember when the iPhone came out because a lot of the bosses at AAF got them. And once they got their email hooked up to them, it was like they were constantly on their phones, like everyone is now. But I remember saying out loud, I'm not fucking getting one of those because I didn't want to make it so that, people could freaking expect me to have checked my email every 5 seconds every day. And I was like, when my boss makes me get one, when my boss gets one, because he bucked against getting an iPhone for a long time for the exact same reason. I said, when my boss gets an iPhone, I'll get an iPhone. And now, all these years later, I just think it's ridiculous because I don't know what I would do without my smartphone now. Like, what would I do without my iPhone? I have no idea. But it was on this date in 2007 that the first iPhone was sold. So happy 14th birthday to the iPhone. You're now in puberty. Congratulations. Happy unbirthday, Keith. By the way, I went in and checked. If you go to mistresscarrie.com/dick-shanary, you will find the dictionary. I wanted to make sure that the link was right. And it is. So that's how you can find it. Let's see. Oh, and you guys still have time. Clarence Thornton. He's a World War II veteran. He is turning 100 on July 8th. The family has already started receiving birthday cards from people here in the War Room, people that listen to my radio show. Keep the cards coming. His birthday is coming up on July 8th. So the address is there on the screen. And if you can't write it down fast enough, there is a blog post at mistresscarrie.com that not only has Clarence's picture, but also the address. This was a request from the family. So I'm not just posting their address up without their permission. They reached out to me and said, do you think we could get a bunch of birthday cards sent out to Clarence for his 100th birthday? And the answer is yes. So if you guys have not sent your birthday card to Clarence, this is your reminder because we're going to start running out of time to be able to get it there for his birthday. So get the card in the mail this week before the holiday. Let's see. Wait, today's Don Dawkins' birthday too, Eric? How did I not see that? Mailed Clarence's card from LA today. Christy, you rule. That is fantastic. You can screenshot the address, or like I said, I put the address up in my blog at mistresscarrie.com to make it easy. Not only for you guys to find it, but will you guys all make me a promise here in the War Room? Will you do me this one favor, please? Will you please take the link to that blog post and put it up on your social medias tonight? Will you please post it up on Facebook, tweet it out, put it up on Instagram and your stories, whatever. But let's make this huge push this week. Ask all of the people that you're friends with on Facebook. Do it right now while you guys are sitting there. Send a post out with that link to the address and ask everybody that is in your friends group on your Facebook page to send Clarence a birthday card. Everybody's got nieces and nephews, kids, cousins, little kids that are always itching to take their crayons and make a card for somebody. Ask the little kids in your family to make a card, especially going into the 4th of July weekend when everyone is talking about patriotism. This is the week that we really need to get behind Clarence's family and to get these birthday cards out. So please, 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 while we're sitting here in the War Room, post the link to the blog post from mistresscarrie.com and ask everyone to please send birthday cards to Clarence. That would be awesome. I also want to welcome everybody that has Mistress Carrie backstage passes on Patreon. It is an amazing group of people. They get access to behind the scenes pictures, blog posts, discounted merchandise. This month, they're getting discounted merch codes for glasses, koozies. They also got an exclusive discount code that runs through next month that's giving them money off of the new coffee mug as well. So if you want to get a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, you can get it on patreon.com/Mistress Carrie, or you can just go to mistresscarrie.com and click the Patreon button. But I also talked to the Backstage Pass holders about guests coming up on the podcast so they can submit questions. We do a exclusive live stream, which is probably, by the way, guys, if you have Backstage Passes and you're here in the War Room, it's probably going to be next weekend. For the live stream, it can't be this weekend because of the holiday and because my husband's gonna be home. Sorry, just a little excited. So we'll definitely have our monthly live stream coming up soon as well. Kids can send him cards also. Exactly, Michelle. That's what that we want to get the little kids. Happy birthday to your mom. Wait, whose mom's birthday? It's not my mom's birthday. Whose mom's birthday? Smile, Carrie. I need a good screenshot. Oh, okay. Wait. Now, Wendy, or which frame? Do you want this one? Did you take it yet? I'm smiling. My face is going to freeze. Okay. He's gotten almost 40 cards, I think. That's awesome, Michelle. So keep the cards coming. Let's make the big push for Clarence's birthday cards. Where is everybody going to see fireworks this weekend? What's going on for the 4th? What's everybody doing? Oh, it's Kevin's mom's birthday. Oh, cheers. Happy birthday, Kevin's mom. What's everybody doing this weekend for the holiday? I know that obviously because of COVID, things are still a little bit weird, but, oh, thank you, Heidi. But let me know what you guys are planning on doing this weekend, where the fireworks are going to be, what's going on. So it's kind of weird that I'm kind of excited about the weekend now. My house, says Mark. I'm going to the lake and getting drunk, says Heidi. My camp in Maine, says Jen. That's fantastic. I want to remind you guys about all the places you guys can find me on social as well. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, and of course, Patreon for the Backstage Pass. Boston's definitely having the fireworks. Are we sure about that? Bridgewater on Sunday, going to a friend's house, lighting my own off at the beach, says Mark. See, now I might have to go into Boston. I just hope it's not going to be 1,000 degrees. It's so friggin' hot out. I'm staying home with my nervous dog. Yeah, Trina, I hear that. Maybe Polar Park, haven't decided yet. Very cool. Well, I am really looking forward to the holiday weekend. I'm really excited about it. I'm super excited that my husband's going to be home. And yeah, that's basically it. So that's the show for tonight, guys. I want to thank everybody that joined us for the first time here in the War Room. I want to thank the War Room family, obviously, for being here all the time and being the amazing people that you are. Super excited about you guys and your feedback for next week when you listen to the latest episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast. So this goes live at midnight tonight, episode 56, featuring Rob Caggiano from Volbeat. And this week's episode sponsored by Digital Federal Credit Union and Jumptown Skydiving. So super excited about that. Supposed to be a little cooler, Jen says. Okay, good. Should be plenty of fireworks around here, says Kevin. Let's see. The dogs and I will be playing loud classical music and hiding from the fireworks. Totally get that. Carrie, it's cooling down for the weekend. Fantastic, George. Can't wait for episode 56. Donna, I think you're going to love it. Rob's a great guy. I've known him for years, and I just think he's awesome. So I can't wait for you guys to hear it. All right, I got to go find Wednesday. I got to go work on the sit rep for tomorrow, and I'm going to go pour myself another drink. So thank you, as always, for joining me in Cocktails in the War Room, episode 138. I can't believe it. You guys are awesome. All right, I'll talk to you next week, and check out the podcast at midnight. Good night.